Guys, welcome to my first podcast, Coffee and Agents. This is Imtiaz, your host from Custom GPT AI Agent Academy. I'm here with Luis Ribas, Kronos. Oi, cara, tudo bem?
E aí, fala galera. How are you guys? Let's talk about some AI stuff today, this incredible revolution we are having with technology, and that's accessible to everyone, so let's do it.
So, before I start talking about your background and how you got started with AI agents, Luis, I wanted to tell the audience how we first met. I believe you reached out to me on YouTube, one of my videos. And as we were talking, I realized we have a lot of things in common in terms of how we are using AI agents and using it in a practical way. And not only that, what also interested me was the fact that you're from Curitiba, Brazil. And I was there in Curitiba 4 years ago. So I have, amazing experience there. I went to a small beach town nearby called Florianopolis, and I was stuck there during COVID. So it's really amazing that we have AI visionaries nowadays from all over the world. So it's a great way to connect from people all over the world. And we're making strides. And not only that, another thing that struck me was the fact that you're 19 and then you're running an SMA agency. You've also made a lot of money using stock trading, and now you're using AI agents to basically augment your business and enhance its practices. So I'm really curious, your story, how you got started, and what led you to create AI agents. So Luis, if you want to share your story.
All right, sure. So I started using AI just when ChatGPT came out. I believe I was like late 1 month, no more than that. But last year we saw in 2023 a huge leap in what we knew AI could do. So while ChatGPT we could get some basic answers, codes, some things, not too complex stuff. But last year we saw a huge leap, and in the last like 2-3 months, I saw how big this gap had gotten. And even though I had been using GPT-4 and other AI tools over the last couple of months to build, I have two SaaS companies, one SMMA for myself. So I built some systems that help us till this day. And in the last couple of weeks, in like the last month, more or less, I started getting very deep into this new agents world we have been developing into the Assistance API and everything we could build using AI practically in our lives. So, for example, on our copy trading platform where we had human support answering the customers, we saw that we could get much better, faster, and cheaper responses to our customers just by having an automated agent integrated with a vector database, which is a way we can get more advanced knowledge. We could talk more in depth about this later on. But basically, you can get a super intelligent agent which knows everything about our business and can get responses much faster and better, cheaper than our support we get. Less turnover, like the people that buy. Here in Brazil, we have a law that's basically, I don't know if the US also has this, that people can ask for their money back in 7 days, and that's like non-negotiable. We have to give it back. And we had a couple of issues with this because as the people here in Brazil, mainly our public, they don't have much knowledge about crypto. They needed support so they could connect their platform. They could connect their CopyX account on Binance. And we ended up having some support issues because the support needed some more time to answer. Sometimes people didn't like that and ended up getting like problems, losing money maybe because they didn't configure their account correctly or didn't get the best response from our support, and that started hurting it. And also, it wasn't feasible for our support to answer that many people. For example, we have launches on our SMMA agency where we get a lot of people inside our product very quickly, and we needed a way to make this better. We simply couldn't continue as it was. And on the last couple of weeks, I have been working on this and other projects of AI, which we can automate sending responses, also sending audios or receiving audios integrated on WhatsApp. They can also check their account on our server, for example, see if the last couple of trades they were executed correctly, check their account status, their membership, anything that a human could do behind a computer screen, and AI can do it well. And the longer people take to realize that, they'll stay miles away from the competition, and this compounds, and it will be a great issue. And I didn't want to be on that side.
No, that is great. That's absolutely, uh, a great way to use agents. And I like your approach that you already have a business and you're seeing some gaps in the business and how you can augment with your agents. Like customer service is a big one, right? So we all know the struggle or the challenge of employing someone who also follows the same mission, can answer the questions with precise knowledge, and then working 24 hours, 24/7 for you. It's really hard to find employees like that. However, you can fill in those gaps with your agents. Looks like that's what you did out of necessity. What I see happening in the market is people are still struggling to understand how to use agents because they don't understand the practical use case behind it, right? In your case, you're taking the most practical approach to this. And what really I'm curious about is some of the challenges you face learning AI agent technology. As you know, OpenAI recently released the custom GPT interface as well as the agent technology. There's not a lot of resources out there. I personally had to kind of figure out and learn as I went. So can you tell me about the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome those?
Yeah, as you said, this is all very new. We don't have, for example, if you are going to code a trading bot, you have extensive documentation, people solving any kind of issue you might have. You have that on the internet, and you can use both GPT and Google Stack Overflow, those tools to fix your issues. But when we are talking about this technology, state-of-the-art stuff that has just came out, you cannot do that. So as you said, when we are building our applications, we have to figure some stuff out. For example, when I'm coding, I always use ChatGPT because that's a huge productivity boost. However, when we code using for the Assistance API, for example, building an application with that, GPT cannot help you as much because it just doesn't have this knowledge yet. Because it was trained, I don't know, maybe until October last year or something like that. So it's like 1 year almost behind the current knowledge we need in order to build our applications. So that's a big issue. And the OpenAI documentation, it could be better. It could be better. Sometimes it's a bottleneck. Just it's a must. You must read the API preferentially everything that's in there, not only OpenAI but other AI providers APIs if you want to know everything that's going on. And also on YouTube, for example, Imtiaz this channel, we have some ideas, as you said, having ideas on what to use the AI for in practical applications. A huge part of that is one, you knowing what the AI is capable of. Two, getting ideas from other people. For example, on your channel, I have seen many applications which gave me ideas on how to implement on my agents, for example. It might not be exactly what you have done, but you have given me ideas, shown me an opportunity which I hadn't quite seen before. So that helps a lot. And before someone understands the practical applications of AI, I believe they must first take a leap of faith, thinking like AI is capable of anything. It's just up to me to give the correct prompt, the correct instructions, and correct tools for the AI to be able to solve the problem and propose into it. Many people, they just use ChatGPT and they get frustrated when they give some awkward prompt and GPT doesn't answer perfectly like they imagine in their head. That's the number one reason people don't go further, because they think it's just that. Even GPT-4o, it still does not have telekinetic abilities. It cannot guess what you are thinking. So you must give the correct prompt, the correct clear command for it to give you the answer you actually want. And there are some amazing applications that you could only build. Even myself, I still need to figure out a lot of issues on custom instructions, on prompt engineering and stuff like this in order to get the desired output. But you cannot give up, because if you do, you will start to stay behind. And if you don't give up, eventually you will solve your issue. And any problem, as I said, a human can solve just from typing on a computer, clicking on their mouse. Anything you can do from a computer, an AI can't do as well.
I totally agree with that point. And honestly, as you know, ChatGPT or AI, Gemini, Cloud, whatever you call it, intelligence, artificial intelligence, is as useful as you make it to be. Okay, it's not going to be useful without you. So the secret sauce is always going to be your domain knowledge, your prompts, and what you bring to the table. And I think that's why a lot of people are struggling, and that's going to be the differentiator in the years going forward. So if you already have some knowledge like you, Luis, you're already doing it business, you already have employees working for you, you can learn from them, you can learn from their skill gaps, and then take what's useful and put it into a custom GPT or an OpenAI assistant, etc. But from what you're saying also, persistence is key, right? You can't give up in your first failed attempt. You go to ChatGPT, it's not able to give you that response. You must now look into the internet, find resources, YouTube videos, see how you can augment the OpenAI documentation, etc. And even me, I believe in the power of community, learning together. So I found some useful stuff that was useful for me when I was deploying my agents, and I put it on YouTube. Now, I also saw people like you, doing trading and using it in other applications. It gave me ideas. So the idea of learning together in this really rapidly evolving world of AI is really important. So I want people to understand that community is going to always help you, take your ideas and innovations further. And this is also a good opportunity to remind everyone that I have a school community that's absolutely free for you, the Custom GPT AAA, where we discuss hacks and then easy ways how we can deploy agents into our own applications or business, etc. So definitely check it out. And when you join, you will be able to get more resources to help you unlock the power of your business using agent technology, as well as use it as assistance. Okay, so learning from your staff, looking around and finding people who are like-minded is really key. Now, Luis, tell me about some of the work that you automated using agent technology, and what have you learned from using this technology?
Right now, the two big projects I have worked on are an personal assistant. So tasks, I also had a human assistant do it for me, like managing my to-do list, scheduling events such as this one, sending me reminders. Like I say, oh, remind me to pay rent, for example, for this day every single month. It like everything that a personal assistant did, messaging other people on WhatsApp and stuff like that. I built an agent that could do that. That's the first one. The second one is this automated support for my platform, which required some of the tools I used to build the first project, which was the personal assistant, as well as some new things. For example, the personal assistant, it doesn't need extensive knowledge in any particular and specific knowledge on any particular subject. However, this assistant to answer our customers, it must know 100% of what our human support knows, and preferentially some more stuff, so it can give better responses even than its human counterpart would. So for that, for example, we had to use a vector database, which at first I tried to use OpenAI's new file search feature, which appeared to be promising, because before this, the only way you could do reg, which means you basically give the the AI model more context to answer very specific questions about your business, which it could not have otherwise known just from its general knowledge. You need to give it that context. Before, you could only do this by getting external databases, but I tried to do it with file search. And the thing about persistence, you mentioned, Imtiaz, I tried to do this, make it work like for 3 days, the file search feature. It just would not. It wouldn't. Until like today earlier, I tried to use an external database, the Quadrant database, and it worked because I had more control over the query. I had more control over how the search were being made, the parameters, how many answers would be included in the context, and it's finally worked. So, yeah, that's basically it.
So that is a really good point, and I've been struggling with that as well because, as you know, OpenAI is coming up with a lot of new innovations, and people are still learning how to use it, incorporate it into their business practices. I found that there is some limitations with the file search feature. Now, that doesn't mean that it's always going to be a limitation. OpenAI has done a great job looking at the challenges we developers face and then coming up with new features along the way. But to be really ahead of the curve, you must always have a plan B. So you can't wait till, OpenAI releases the updates and all that kind of stuff. So for my case, I found that file search, you're not able to modify records. You're not able to specify exact files to use when you're sending queries, etc. There's some limitations, and I encourage people to actually go through the documentation and actually start implementing it into their practice and finding out what are some of the gaps. Now, the Quadrant database is a great solution, and I think if you can incorporate the OpenAI assistance technology and use some of the external tools and technologies out there. For example, like open source, there's a lot of open source tools. So security is also another aspect. You want to make sure you're not restrained to just the OpenAI tools and technologies, because then you're going to be compromised in terms of security. Luis, tell me, like, you don't have to share the exact secret sauce, but if you want to get into a little bit of more details, how people can start using agents and start incorporating some of these external technologies into their workflow. What do they have to do? What is the easiest way to do this?
All right. So, a major breakthrough I had on AI was discovering about the function calling ability of the Assistance API. Why is it so game changing? Because you can interact with your APIs, external APIs. So, for example, if there wasn't the option to use function calling, I wouldn't be able to use my database, Quadrant database, instead of OpenAI stuff. Like, think about the iPhone. The iPhone is always so restricted. It's a controlled environment. You can't always use external tools. Here, OpenAI did the opposite. They allowed us to use any API using the function calling, and that was a big game changer for me. So I think nowadays the best way for someone to start going deep into API, don't go after no code tools. Don't go after the easy solutions. You must learn the basics of Python, know how to use GPT-4 for coding for all. Currently, hopefully, somewhat soon we get GPT-5 or better models. Understand which models are the best for each kind of task. This, I think, deserves a podcast of its own because it's a very extensive and interesting subject. And the Assistance API, learn the OpenAI, study everything from the documentation. You might think it's a lot, but you can go over its entire documentation in a week. You can know everything that's there about the embeddings models, Whisper, all the GPT models, the difference from text completions to assistance, for me at least, I think the Assistance API is much better for everything I need today, but who knows, maybe you could use the completions API. I prefer the assistance. Basically, know your stuff, so then you can pick each tool that will be the best for each solution you are trying to come up. So, for example, on WhatsApp, you need to know what kind of integrations to use to get what's on WhatsApp to your model. You need an API for that. you need to know how to expose the server. For example, I use AWS. You can use other platforms such as Heroku. For example, this is a bit more advanced for people who have learned how to code and want to upload a server, for example. But know your basics, know your Python, know your assistance API, and that's basically it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you mentioned knowing Python, because I believe that in this rapidly evolving space, knowing the fundamentals of Python is going to give you a bird's eye view of the landscape. You're now able to look at the API documentation. You're now able to use this and customize your application to your needs rather than wait for a no-code provider to come up with the solution for you. So it's a no-brainer. And also, I think that ChatGPT can write code for you these days. It's getting better, and it's going to get even better to the point where it can create a whole application for you. So you're going to get a code base created from a software developer agent, and exactly what you want. You can just communicate it. That's going to come eventually, but the Python fundamentals, that's not going to go away. It's always going to be a tool in your toolbox, and definitely. And also, there's definitely hacks. When you come across any limitations, when you're using the ChatGPT interface, for example, it's backdated the GPT models, so you don't have the up-to-date OpenAI references or the code, etc. that that the models can use. So there is some hacks for that. I personally use a custom GPT with my own knowledge base, with all the code that's needed to produce an application. And then I tell the custom GPT to write the code and application for me. I don't really necessarily write the code these days. I just manage it and direct it and make sure it creates a complete end-to-end product at the end. Now, for people to start, I don't think they really need to go as far as creating custom tools or functions. There's an easy way to start using custom GPTs. You can start testing your idea or product. If it's really viable, then you can expand to a OpenAI Assistant API, start building your own assistants using using some basic Python fundamentals, and then start expanding with integrations, etc. Now, Luis, what was your journey like in terms of learning Python? Did you start learning Python just for the sake of learning Python, or was it because to solve a problem?
At the time, I didn't really need it for any particular use. I don't know, I just kind of wanted to learn it. I was in school, and it was just like I had time, and I was looking from being told so much, oh, programming is so cool. It can allow you to do a lot of stuff. And like, I had this profile, like kind of nerdy person that it would fit to be a programmer or something, at least know programming, not exactly work on it, but at least knowing it. And I always liked this kind of stuff, like maths, this nerdy stuff. So when I started getting into programming, I really liked it. And I could say that about the steps to getting into AI, as you were talking about, I guess we could say like the baby steps. It would be like knowing the basic GPT, starting using GPT for anything, even if you're bad at prompting, whatever, just get used to it for a couple of days. Then it would be nice for you to know prompt engineering. So just the basics. You don't need to know advanced techniques. Just know how to talk with ChatGPT. Then you could go on to create custom GPTs, which also is no rocket science. You just get a normal GPT and give it some custom instructions. For example, you can say, oh, just answer to everything in an extremely easy to understand as if you were talking to a 5-year-old way, and be extremely direct. Do not talk about stuff that I have not asked you about. So you just go on these baby steps, and after this, you can go to creating assistants, the most basic ones, which just give you regular answers. Then you can start implementing functions, and you just kind of go on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it looks like, yeah, it's definitely evolving every day, and there's a lot we can learn as the space grows. Now, Luis, what also strikes me is the fact that you started learning all these technologies, and you already have a business, etc. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about how you balance all this? I think you mentioned you also go to school. So how do you manage all this at such a young age, and what drives you?
I dropped out of school a couple of years ago. I was on high school. Like the pandemic came when I was on the first of 3 years we have in Brazil for high school. I don't know how. I don't remember how it is in the US or other countries, but here in Brazil we have three. On the first year, when COVID started, I started working on financial markets. I made a lot of money. Also, coding, I started learning it, even though I didn't make much out of it. Actually, on the beginning, the one of the first practical applications I made was a software to get the data from the Binance API for the accounts I managed. It would calculate the percentage. For example, I want to have 60% on crypto A or 20% in crypto B. It's got the balance from the balance for each coin on Binance, calculated what would be the correct balance for the total account amount, and it would automatically call the Binance API also to make the trades, to make it so I had the correct balances on each coin. So before ChatGPT, before all this stuff, this was basically the first application I had. And as I said, I started with programming and that stuff when the pandemic came. And basically on the following years, I started my other businesses, the SMMA, the software companies. And when I started making more money than my parents, than the people around me that had finished school, college, that kind of stuff, people who were very successful around my bubble, I realized I already knew this kind of, but I had absolute certainty that I would not get any benefit from continuing on this academic path. And I have always like wanted to leave school since like maybe 8th grade or something like that, because I mean, you always want to be in your house just playing games or stuff like that. So it was kind of boring to be at school. So what moved me was the desire to have autonomy, to have freedom, to be able to make my own choices. And this was just kind of the natural path. Based on how well I know myself, I think it could not have been much different from this. It would either be something programming related, financial markets related, and right now I cannot see myself doing something other than AI, because this will probably be like the last wave you have. For example, in history, the industrial revolutions. Okay, you had a couple of them, but you're not gonna have multiple AI revolutions. It's gonna
Yeah.
be one. Jobs are gonna be erased, and afterwards, you will not be able to get rich.
Wow. I hope you guys are listening. Now, Luis, the more he talks, the more he inspires me, and I'm pretty sure that will inspire you as well. You're watching this and you're not taking action. I recommend you to start learning these technologies, because we're still in the early stages of the last AI renaissance, and this is breakthrough technologies. It's changing every aspect of life as we see it. So it needs a different way to think, a different way to to start taking action, and also it's moving really fast. So every second counts. So I hope you're listening. And I've seen a video, actually, the fact that you mentioned the school, the education thing, because I think the there's a big shift, because I saw a video where this student from India, he created, or perhaps like used, a machine that uses ChatGPT to write homework. He went through all that leap, to basically program a machine to write a homework or his assignment at school. Now think about all the time you're spending in school doing all this stuff, and it makes sense, because the education system that we see it, it's a really big establishment, and it's sometimes really slow to catch up to revolutionizing technologies such as this, like AI and agent technology. So it's even hard for us to keep up, even knowing some programming skills, etc. So it's really important that you seek out people that think like you, seek out people like Luis who are already applying these technologies in their business, and definitely leverage communities. Um, so I'm going to leave the links to Luis's networks in the show notes. Definitely check out his content. He's going to be producing a lot more content for you guys as well. And also join my school community to also connect with people like Luis and other people who are innovating in this space. So you can get ahead of the curve, start taking action, start creating your agents, and start taking advantage of this AI revolution. Do it for yourself, your family, your children, your community. It's really a game changer. Now, Luis, I know we talked a lot and I really enjoyed our conversation. Is there any question that you like to ask me, or you'd like me to ask you before we close off?
One thing I always like to ask people in AI is what they're doing, because it's always something different, and I'm sure anyone who is into AI and that's has locked on this and knows the importance of this, I'm sure their answer can be of much value to me and to every person who's watching this. So how about you? What are you working on, and what do you think the next trends, or what do you think that it will really pay off for people to pay attention and work on their projects?
That's a great question, Luis. I personally, for myself, I just made a list of all the things that I want to do, all the things that I want to learn, and all the things that I'm already doing. Just made a list of all these things. And then I'm just using ChatGPT to start getting better at those things, start learning those things. And then the more I use ChatGPT, the more I realize it's such a pain writing these prompts over and over again. So I then went to build custom GPTs. Um, and I personally like to use it for my own self, like whether it's creating content, uh, you know, creating scripts for YouTube, writing blogs, all these stuff. I've incorporated some form of AI one way or the other. And I'm pretty sure other people are doing as well. Now, building and deploying is definitely, I'm learning as I'm going. I'm learning more aspects of Python and programming, but at the same time, other skill sets like outreach and selling, which is also key. So I have my GPTs that I'm also monetizing through selling. And that's definitely pretty much everything, all my life, right now revolves around AI. And honestly, I think I encourage people to do that as well, to really reflect on everything they're doing and seeing how they can incorporate AI into their workflow.
Yeah, bro. As you were saying, like, I have written down everything I want to study and build. I think everyone who is finding out about this AI world, they need to have like a list, an endless list of every application you want to build, because if you cannot see these opportunities, you are doing AI wrong for sure. And it's just a matter of time before you can build all of those, or at least a couple of those. Just focusing on the ones where you see you can get a good result. And yeah, I guess there's just so much for us to study and build, especially when we are learning about these technologies and how we can use them. Just, I mean, also not just for our applications, but also for other businesses. I mean, I started, for example, on my companies, but as I start sharing this content, people just started reaching out, bro. If I had something similar to this in my company, it would be absolutely great. So, for example, the support on my platform, I am on some SMMA groups where people also have this issue of supports and having to give people their money back because the support team isn't doing the job correctly. And these people are starting to reach out to me asking, for example, how they could have it in their business. And the people who know how to build these applications, not only for themselves, but for others, they can make a lot of money because this skill will not be learned by many people. Think about how many people in the world are programmers. Think about how many of them are focused on AI. Think about how many of them are focused on assistance API. You start narrowing down. Like in Brazil, probably there are less than 1,000, say 100 people that can do the things I can do. I don't know. I'm just, I have no clue, just like a random number. But it's not that many. So if you can get in this top percentile and start showing what you can do with real world applications and real results, there is no doubt you will be able to make a lot of money and be moved. Also, we say about the AI revolution, we were talking about that, not only greed, but also fear, because that might be also the main component maybe for some people, because after the jobs are exterminated, programming won't be around for much later, for much longer. So you gotta be on the right side, if you wanna pull through and make a lot of money and also survive, bro.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that's what really drives me too, because I want people to see how accessible things are, because technology is getting easier and easier. There's actually very soon you can just talk to the AI and then it will create a product for you. But the more time you wait, the less you're going to fall behind. Learn a little bit of programming, learn a little bit about prompt engineering, and slowly and surely you're going to catch up. Like, for example, your personal assistant, right? You're actually creating an agent that will replace your personal assistant. You've taken all the learnings from your assistant, and now you're creating an agent from that. And I want people to see this. This is actually happening in businesses as we speak, right? So you could be like, imagine if you were the personal assistant, you could start augmenting your knowledge and start creating a custom GPT, start learning these technologies as well. So that itself is a product now you can sell to other businesses. They're looking for a personal assistant agent, right? So be practical. Start look around you and see how you can start automating some of these processes. So I think we talked a lot, Luis. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I know you're going to Miami very soon. So I hope you enjoy your trip, bro. It's going to be amazing. Are you going to Orlando or Miami? I'm not.
Probably just Orlando, maybe Miami, not sure yet.
Yeah, Orlando is a beautiful place. There's a lot of Brazilians there for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, bro. There's like on Disney on certain times of the year on both Miami and Orlando, there might be more Brazilians than Americans, bro. I
Yeah,
swear.
it's a little Brazil, and yeah, it's amazing. It's a great place. You're gonna love it, and let me know how you like it. And I'm gonna be in Brazil in a week. I'm actually in Argentina right now, but I love Brazil. I love the churrasco, and don't tell any Argentinians, bro. Like the Argentinian coffee, you know, Brazilian coffee and Colombian coffee, my favorite. So yeah, man, it was great talking to you, and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for people who are watching, so you get updated every time I drop a new video. I'm gonna do more podcasts with special guests like Luis and others who are innovating in this field. Don't miss out the episodes. And if you want to follow Luis, I'm gonna leave the show notes. I'm gonna leave the links in the show notes. And yeah, stay tuned. And GPT Pioneers, let's go. All right, Luis, I think it's a wrap.